Hey, how are you? So at this part I was going to welcome you to the show, but we haven't got a name yet. So whatever you see up there, that's what we're called. So by the time you're seeing this, hopefully we have a name. So I hope you like it. Generally, we've come together, going to make a video cast, basically about coffee toys, coffee people, coffee. And that's generally the way it's going to go. My name is Colin Harmon. I was talking.
It's all right.
My name is Colin Harmon. I'm a barista. I'm from Dublin in Ireland, and
Can I talk now?
you can talk now. Yeah, off you go.
My name's Steve Leighton, and I'm a coffee roaster in Stafford, in England. And yeah, I think basically what we want to do with this is we both want to learn stuff. I want to learn stuff from this man, kind of espresso based barista, kind of that side of it, and
I also want to learn that. and I've got a whole list of things I want to learn. Every time Steve talks, I want to learn that. So,
Geez, don't. Honestly, seriously,
you
don't
do
take that
talk
shit.
a lot, don't you?
I talk an awful lot, yeah.
So that's generally the way it is. It's going. We're not going to be too regimented about it. It's going to change. We're going to have basically talk about a lot of coffee, learn stuff, have a bit of fun, and basically try to fill a gap of. And video is cool. Video in coffee is really good. I hope we do a really good job of it because. There's a lot of people doing really good videos on coffee and they're very interactive, very easy to watch. I hate reading, I get very bored, I like watching things, so this is hopefully going to fill a little gap and we're going to have a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be very different to what's already out there as well. You know, the Coffee Geek podcast is great, but it's very aimed at consumers. You know, I don't think there's anybody that... And we don't want to be elitist, and I think that's something we really kind of want to put across. This is for the home user that wants to take... You know, a bit more knowledge and experience about what they're doing. Very different to like the In My Mugs that I do, which are very consumer based and very focused on has-been. This isn't just about, you know, kind of has-been and Dublin barista. This is about other people in the industry as well and pushing those boundaries. And hopefully we'll get some of those on at some point, I think, and, you know, call some friends in.
We have, guests.
Guests would be good. Guests would be good. Yeah. But just very different to what's out there currently.
Maybe we could have an absent guest or something.
We have got an absent guest coming up, haven't we?
We could do that. Do you want to have an absent guest today?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, who's your absent guest?
I don't know. We'll have to think who we don't want to come.
Okay, you have to think about that. So, sorry about that for waffling away. So, yeah, generally, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't want to say too much because it'll probably change every week, so, yeah.
Hopefully. I think that's where it should be. It should be fairly organic and kind of turn into what it will be.
That's it.
Two mates talking?
Something like that.
Kind of works.
Would you like to make some coffee?
Yes, sir.
What are we going to make?
We're going to make some Kenya Gethin Bwini, and the Gethin Bwini is the current crop from this year. Coffee that I've been raving about for the past 4 weeks. Very excited about it. I'm going to make it on the clover because I am brewed coffee guy. He's espresso coffee guy. I am brewed coffee guy. I'm going to try and convince him.
How cool would it be to have a clover? It's just... It's like old hat for you now.
No, it's not. It's not because my clover for a long time didn't work, didn't play nicely.
How did you fix it, Safe? What was wrong with it first, and how did you fix it?
Right. Well, what happened?
I'm sure there's thousands of home users out there. Oh, my clover's broken.
It happens all the time. Basically, as the piston rose, what should happen is the coffee should drop down, and it wasn't. The mesh was kind of fairly dirty on it. So Alistair Jury at Elysian Rooms very kindly sent me a replacement mesh, and that has kind of fixed my clover issues, and I'm like boy with a new toy again because it's been a long time. And I love brewed coffee. I like to try brewed coffee, and it's just great that I've got that back. So
I'm just... Yeah,
you know, well, you're going to enjoy it. Feel sorry for those.
Yeah, well, I think
those guys out there who aren't going to enjoy clover with us.
I think the thing I enjoy most is saying the word Gethin Bwini. I love that word. Gethin Bwini. I think
it's a fairly cool word, but it's a fairly easy one to pronounce.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like, Gethin Bwini. Gethin Bwini. Yeah.
And Gethin Bwini, kind of huge farm, massive lot, but this is a unique lot that we're dead proud of. So
let me go, brew. Step to it.
Yes, sir.
Right, so I'll try to think of something interesting to say in the meantime. Basically, I've come over from Dublin, flew in last night with a thump from Ryanair, getting slowly used to flying. There's a lot of flying because I come back and forth from the UK a lot, so I hate flying. But yeah, getting used to it. So basically the plan is to spend a few days here with Steve, annoy him, pack boxes, fill bags, all that kind of stuff, and then Tuesday, heading down to London. I'm going to go... maybe say hello to Willem. I want to go work on his cart as well because I worked in a cart for a year and then Willem works at the cart, so I'm going to go and see what his cart's
You know,
like.
I would love to go to Willem's cart. I haven't actually been to his cart yet. Every time I go, he's closed.
Yeah?
Or tells me he's closed anyway.
Yeah.
But I would love to go see Willem's cart, and I think he's very good. I've kind of done Flat White, Fernandez and Wells, the kind of usual suspects, but how cool would it to be going to see?
Yeah.
And I think, espresso out of a paper cup has some kind of...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something cool about it.
Then hoping to get down and see James and Annette at Square Mall as well, and then just go Nut Bar and Fernandez and Wells and all these places and have a really great time in London, which is going to be an incredible venue, I think.
Did you know that the streets are paved with gold there as well?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. But then the other big thing is that on Wednesday I'm going to cafe culture. Yeah. So I think I pronounced it right. So basically, for those of you who don't know, it's a big industry exhibition for coffee, and so I'm working for Johnson's Coffee. Philip Mills, who sorted me out helped me out getting the WBC Spec Aurelia for the competition. So cheers, Philip. So I'm going to go down and work at his stall and make some coffees and hope you'll laugh. I'm actually beside Willem. He's on the new office in Leighton. So
you'll be quiet then.
Yeah, hopefully. Might get to hold his hat or something. It'd be nice. But yeah, no, that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm working on Wednesday, then the Thursday I'm not working, so I'm just going to basically wander around and play with toys and have a laugh. I brought my camcorder charger, not my camcorder though, so won't be any footage of it, but what can you do? But yeah, cafe culture is something I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to meeting people that I only know from the internet, from forums and from chat rooms and all that kind of stuff, and from videos. So it'd be cool to meet people that I kind of half know. Hugo will be there, and Lawrence will be there, and John Gordon, and
Jess as well.
Jess is there. Oh no, Jess is going to Glasgow, so we're going to miss her.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Hi,
Jess.
Hi, Jess.
So yeah, that'd be really cool. Cafe culture. You're not going.
I'm not going.
Steve's not going.
No. For me, cafe culture. I did the first ever cafe culture that was held. I exhibited there, and it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Surrounded by.
When was that?
Oh, geez, 2-3 years ago. I think it might be 3. This might be Cafe Culture's 3rd year now. So, yes, it is their 3rd year. So no, it was horrible.
It's always in London.
Always in London. Always in Olympia.
That's so nice.
And that's where next year the WBC is going to be.
Yeah.
So at Cafe Culture. So I guess I'm going to have to go next year. But it's full of syrup sellers. It's kind of almost the side of the industry that I know has to exist. It has to be there, but I don't necessarily get excited by it or enjoy it.
Because the SCAA show that was in Atlanta, it was great in patches, and it was like, I mean, anywhere you go. I went in and had Jesse from Intelligentsia pulled me a shot of Michael Phillips coffee. That was great. And then I
think that's the difference between the SCAA show though and Cafe Culture for me, is you've got Intelligentsia there, you've got Counterculture, you've got Slayer were there, you've got Sinesso really cool. there. You got some people who you want to talk to and you want to go and see. It's patchy, but at least there's some patches.
Can you have, like, if you could hand pick a trade show, okay, and have, like, all these? We don't want to pick out people now and leave out people, but if you could pick those 40 people that you have in your head that you'd like to see at a trade show and put just them in the trade show, could it be done? Is there a reason for it? Would it just be Big Boys Club? I don't know.
I think it may be, and I think you'll also you have some kind of exclusive club like that, and you exclude somebody from that exclusive club, then they're are
they ever going to reach that standard? So I think
I see the point of those people being there. I do kind of get it a little, but I don't really feel that I want to embrace it. I know it's there, that's fine, but I would love to go for the people, and that was the same with the SCAA show. Kind of the people that I met there were far better than the stands that I went on to visit. So kind of mixed feelings. I'm sad that I'm not going, because I'm going to miss seeing friends, catching up, just kind of shooting breeze with people. But
syrups, you've put blackcurrant syrup in this, haven't you?
This is what I love about Kenny, is just that full-on blackcurrant in it, and it's a stunning cup. It
is. And the thing about I haven't drank an awful lot of Clover, and when I did, Steve was spilling it half across his counter because it was a couple of months ago and the thing was broken. So
yeah, that was not a good time.
That's something that I think is really not necessarily talked about enough, but fascinates me, and something I'd love to learn about is texture.
Yeah.
And texture in espresso, texture in Chemex, and texture in this. But the texture of of just clover in itself that's
I think we're taking one on steroids here as well, because Kenya's the texture of the Kenyas are quite often that a little bit more, because you have that biting acidity with that creaminess that kind of there's a complexity of mouthfeel there for sure.
Okay, cloudy's wrong, but it's a fuller and I actually mean the actual physical texture of it, there's a fuller, it's not as thin.
But then almost one of the biggest kind of downfalls of the clover is that people say that it's
fine.
It's thinner. It loses some of the body. But I think in the texture, I think you bang on the texture's right, where you do get a more fuller mouthfeel with it. But you lose some mouthfeel in the depth of taste.
Yeah, because it's also that.
It's almost like shallow, isn't it? And it's not a perfect brewing method.
Is there one?
Exactly.
Is there one?
Yeah. It's Cona's over here. Vac Man, but
I'm actually going to be playing Vac Man in the next couple of weeks, so I'll update you on that.
Yeah, I don't think it is perfect. That's just, kind of me being a bit silly, but I kind of brewed coffee we don't know enough about, and that's one thing that I will miss about cafe culture is the Uber. I so want to play with the Uber. I think James and Stephen's input as well, because it wasn't just James.
Okay,
Hoffman, it was rewind.
Uber.
What's an Uber?
An Uber boiler is a product that's being developed by Marco Beverages, which are
Irish.
Yeah, well, the home of all great coffee is Irish, I think.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That's a standard. I think everybody accepts that the best coffee comes.
You grow the best coffee, don't you?
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah, all high ground stuff down by the Liffey. And they basically, so in layman's terms, tap, hot water, scales. Okay, so that's what you do. So you got temperature stability. You can control.
Shall I put a photo of the Uber up on the screen now?
There's a photo now. There we go.
That's
lovely. So there you can see in the bottom that square that is the scales, and then we have the top there. So you get enormous accuracy, and you can control your volume and all that kind of stuff there. So
abracadabra.
Yeah, and we put the link up as well for the maybe we should put lots of
Uber blog.
Uber blog, yeah. And Paul Stack, great guy. We like Paul Stack.
Paul Stack is a cool guy. Particularly if he gives me an Uber, he gets even cooler then.
Yeah. Well, I'd like one in my kitchen as well. That'd be nice.
No. Join the queue. Orderly queue.
So anyway, but that's going to be really cool. And the other thing that it's coming up a lot, and I know our friend Dave, other black stuff that he's getting really into it. I know James Hoffman's getting into it.
How many links are you giving me here?
Lots of links. But basically, tea is really interesting. And then you always get people. I know when I'm working, people making jokes like, "Oh, you're having a cup of tea. I hate the tea guy." And it's like, no, tea isn't. We don't have to live in different worlds. Tea is great.
I had a cup of tea this morning at breakfast.
You did, didn't you?
I did. I had tea.
Tea Smith,
I like tea.
who I know nothing about, but I presume that they're good guys because they're associated with this, so they must be good.
I'm hearing exciting things about them. Because it's just like forum land.
It's good for it to taste like seaweed. That's what I learned from the last week. Yeah, you can get some nice pu'er teas. Yeah, they're
seaweed.
Yeah, seaweed can be good.
I heard seaweed in the cup is really bad.
Yeah, well maybe. Oh.
Sorry, moving swiftly on. Sorry. Hold it together. Come on, you can do it.
Anyway, yeah. So that's going to be really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that. And just like playing with toys, I think toys is generally, but it's going to be good. But
so have we covered the good and the bad points of cafe culture?
Well, I think it's. Yeah, I think it's going to be great because the people are there. It's going to be great. And then you were saying like there will be patches there, and
there'll be some stands you'll go onto and you'll go fantastic.
I still think Intelligentsia should have come out as well, though.
Tell you what's interesting. What's going to be interesting for you is the Spaziali have got the brew bar. Mm-hmm. They've got they're launching the drip filter cone holder. Mm-hmm. That's going to be on the Spaziali
Oh, really?
stand. Yeah. Cool. True Brew, I think it's called.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be exciting. I would love to be there for that. Because again, I like brewed coffee. Have I mentioned?
Yeah, this is good. This is really good.
So that's going to be exciting to be there, and I love the Spaziali guys as well.
Yeah.
The Spaziali behind me there. That I still think pound for pound he's one of the best espresso machines out there.
Yeah, all the gear and no idea. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Hurts.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Are you sleeping tonight?
Nah, in the bus shelter. So that's going to be really exciting this week, and then it's something I'm really looking forward to. So anything else? What's really happening with coffee these days?
I mean, the interesting one was one of the posts on Coffee and the LA Times article.
Oh yeah, the Mecca. That
You
is-
stop tapping that table. All you're going to hear is this, him tapping the table.
I'm sorry. Is Intelligentsia Venice.
Yeah, which is... I'm so jealous that I cannot... give me a choice of going to Cafe Culture at Olympia or Intelligentsia Venice. Where would you go?
Oh, I gotta have to go to Intelligentsia.
You know that
when is their
opening
launch?
part's
Their
gonna be
launch
so
night
cool.
is coming up soon. I know. If you Google it, you'll find it out.
No, it did get put back. It was meant
Yeah.
to be this week. I think it's going to be next week now.
Well, I was delighted it got put back because Tim Styles wasn't going to make it to Atlanta because it was going to be open, and then it didn't open in time, so he had time to come to Atlanta. So I think everybody was praying it was going to be.
And just a
Tim Styles,
shout out to Tim Styles. He's
good guy.
a top
Everybody's
man.
favourite guy in coffee. So he's
Too
either
nice.
he's either the most decent guy ever, or else he's
No,
just
he's
really
not.
good at being the most pretending to be the most decent guy ever.
The problem is there's a few of those, isn't there?
Yeah.
We want to spread rumours about them hurting puppies and doing
Stuff
bad
like that.
things. Yeah.
So they've
But
got-
no, Timmy's a top guy.
But
And
Intelligentsia guys are they're really. I've talked to a lot of them that I've never met before, and it's really cool. Mike Phillips is really cool, and
gosh, you're such a name dropper.
just name dropping.
You're still
them.
hitting the counter.
I am still hitting the counter. I'm sorry, I put my hand over there. But no, that looks really exciting.
That looks really exciting, and I think that they're doing. I mean, Intelligentsia for years have been doing great things and buying great coffee, and it's just so huge now.
And we can get one more picture up now. This that you can see on the screen now is the new, the old reconditioned GS2 that Espresso Parts have put together for.
Terry Z,
For,
where's my order?
Yes, put together for Intelligentsia, and there's been a few questions asked about this because without getting into it, it was supposed to be.
Get into it.
Okay, get into it. It was supposed to be the espresso machine that Starbucks set up on, and now
And did that really
the
matter?
phrase "Phoenix from the Flames" has been.
Do
used, but,
you particularly care if that was the machine that was in?
No, because I did a whole big fuss, and I think I was stalking the people on Coffee, and I was looking at the thing, and I think Doug
Have you
Zell.
not got an account?
Shut up. And I think Doug Zell.
I'll show you my account if you like.
I think Doug Zell was very diplomatic in his response, and I think that was about. It was a side issue on the thing, but it's not the center. The whole, yeah.
I mean, basically, it's they were told something that they believed to be true, and if you're told something, then kind of why wouldn't you? And then people started to call them out.
It's forums, though, isn't it?
Oh,
have you ever been
forums.
burned on a forum?
Do you know, I've had some fairly harsh comments on forums and stuff,
I've got burned
but
on
I
forums.
tend not to go on those forums so much. You know,
It can be funny. Some people are legendary at burning people on forums, but
it can be, but you know.
no, I've always wondered, okay, that someday, like a journalist or somebody making a documentary or something like that, will stumble across a coffee forum and to see how aggressive and uppity people get, and it's just like, oh, it's such a stereotype of these coffee lovers just being really irritable and cranky with each other. And it's just it's exactly what you'd imagine it would be like.
I
if you
think
were outside the world.
I think the forum that kind of I'm fairly close to because of one of the founder members. Obviously, too much coffee, kind of you don't get so much of that on there because it's fairly kind of well moderated, like by the members, not by the moderators because they're rubbish.
Yeah, like sometimes, but it's
No, but I think forums can be fairly harsh places.
But it's like emails, you ever send an email and then someone gets really offended by it and you're like, oh, I didn't actually mean it that way, and I think it can be interpreted that way
I'm
too.
terrible on it because you can read the emails completely differently, and that is forum posts. I think on the whole,
I've been burned.
yeah, but it's kind of part of growing up on the forums, isn't it? And
Yeah. What are you going to do?
it's alley.
But I think that sometimes the easiest way to show how much you know about something is by picking faults. Because it's very easy to say, I agree with you, that's wonderful, that's brilliant. But you need to know a lot about something to pick faults in something and say, this is wrong because of this, and this, and this. And so I think when people are trying to put across how much they know, it often gets kind of caught up with them criticising things overly instead of complimenting things and saying things are good. But
I mean, a typical one is this post on the Intelligentsia.
Yeah.
People I don't really care. Honestly, couldn't give a flying, and I don't think.
I probably would have kept it quiet.
And I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't think Doug's going to be that stressed. I mean, the machine itself, as you saw in the photo, is beautiful.
Yeah, that's all that matters. It's a lovely machine.
What's it taste like? What's it taste like in the cup?
If you could taste lies in the cup, I think then go ahead, slate them. But until lies are traceable in the cup, I don't know.
Kind of doesn't matter so much, and that's how petty. I
then
I saw people slagging off the Clover. When Clover sold out to Starbucks, people were going, "Oh no, so you've sold out." the industry didn't buy the machines. They didn't back it. They didn't go. They sold 300 machines in 2 years. You can't run a business on selling 300 machines. So you can't turn around and say, "Oh, you sold out," when nobody got behind it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in forums. People, it's very easy to criticise.
Yeah. Well,
when
I'm
it's
sure
not
we'll
yours.
get some criticism as well. But I was thinking,
geez.
if you spot, okay, this is a job.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna make mistakes. I'm
Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolute clangers.
We've probably made a couple already.
Oh yeah, I'm probably mispronounced my own name at this stage. But you spot a mistake, we'll give you a prize. So whatever the biggest mistake is every week, if you spot it, email it in. If you absolutely burn us, you will get a free bag of coffee from. I think this week we'll be getting the
Get the buini because I'm
Get them weenie. So you get a free bag of Get them weenie for ruining us. So give it your best shot.
Yeah.
Would you want some espresso?
No, I don't like espresso.
You don't like espresso, no.
Yeah, go on. Let's do
What are we
espresso.
making?
The Brazil Fazenda Lagoa. Lagoa is a huge estate in Brazil, probably one of the bigger ones. Lots of people sell Lagoa. This is a micro lot from there. It's a 10-bag lot of Munda Novo. Oh, God, probably pronunciation. There's the first mistake.
Yeah, we're going to put it on the screen now.
Yeah.
See that's the facts there. Go on, keep going.
It's a naturally processed coffee, which lends itself very well to espresso.
Steve, 4 sentences on natural coffees. Go on. What your experience natural processed coffee?
Natural coffees.
If you have to sum it up, you have to.
Okay, I'm going to keep it into
concentrate here. Right.
Natural coffees tend to be fairly wild in the cup.
Okay, mental.
Yep. Natural coffees tend to lend themselves well to espresso.
I think so. I think that mentalness goes well in espresso.
Yeah, I think so too, and particularly milk.
Yeah.
So it lends itself to well in espresso, particularly to milk. So that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've done enough experimenting with natural coffee.
Is it always because you see processes of coffee and then they're like you see something it's like washed coffees, but they're washed differently all around the world.
Yeah.
Like different places have different
and fermentation times.
You wash yourself differently than I wash myself, don't you? And then, anyway, but we but generally natural coffees, is there? You can be just more attentive to it. I think just turning.
That makes a massive difference. And I was actually talking to a farmer who came across here on Monday to talk to us, and Cafe Ita that we've got the biodynamic coffee.
Farmer that came to talk to you. I hate you.
It's wicked, wasn't it? That is cool. But no, he came and we were talking about the natural processing and how when he naturally processes, he makes sure it's turned very regularly, and a lot of the people around him don't, and that's why his natural coffee tends to be better than other people. So I think it comes down to the same as when you're looking after a farm. Yeah,
but it would be more even. You don't want one side of it kind of more.
No, I think you're also more susceptible to mould if it sits around and doesn't get turned regularly. So. It's like anything. You pay more attention than you pay more attention pulling your espresso, and you'll have a better shot. Honestly, trust me on this.
Okay, I'll have a go.
But I think natural process we haven't done enough with. I think we've still got a lot to learn about it, particularly in places where washed coffee is very prevalent. So we're seeing more and more Nicaraguan naturals, which we had one this morning in a vat pot at home, which was a Monmouth coffee. Yeah,
and Steve did his best to absolutely muck it up. But
I did try. Yeah, my pot kept sticking.
He said, if I'm going to start this guy's days off with an absolute clanger. So.
But very interesting kind of cup. Now, if that was washed, I don't know whether it would be so interesting.
Texture that was incredible. Like chewing gum, like melted chewing gum is all I could describe it as. It was just sticky. Blah, blah, blah.
No, it's
really
very, very good.
Right, but yeah, I think so. I'll pull some shots. We want more cappuccinos, do we?
Yeah, milk would be good because I'm very caffeinated.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the jitters myself now. So maybe
you pull shots.
You have a little out of there.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the Ethiopian Coffee Exchange.
Rant. You're going to rant today.
I'm going to rant. Post recently on Too Much Coffee was talking about Ethiopia Coffee Exchange and what was really going on with it, and there's an awesome thread on coffee that I'm sure lots of people who watch this will read, but if you haven't, I'm going to pop that link up below there. Jesus, loads of links, Colin.
Yeah, I know. It's not as if these people have anything better to do.
But basically what's happened in Ethiopia is Ethiopia last year received masses of praise for their micro lots, produced some stunning coffees that we were lucky enough to try in Octane. We tried one of the
Misty Valley.
Yeah, which was amazing. Which was one of Counterculture's coffee.
Good people.
Counterculture. They rock.
I was talking about Octane, but yeah, they're good.
Oh, Octane are brilliant, and everybody knows Octane are great. We gave them love in the last video we did together.
You know, I actually was thinking that, you know, some of you might hate football, but I mean, when I say football, I mean the one you use your feet for.
Real word
with
football.
the FA Cup, every year with the FA Cup, it's always like, well, when somebody has a really good performance, like it turns into their FA Cup. So you have the Steve McManaman FA Cup and the Stanley Matthews FA Cup because they just had these monumental performances. Do you think the WBC this year will turn into the Ben Helfand WBC?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without Ben, that would have been a much poorer competition.
Henceforth known as the Ben Helfand WBC.
Yeah, but it'd have to be like in an Arsenal shirt, wouldn't it, with Ben?
I don't know, that one's perfect.
Ben's like the only American I think I've ever met that really gets football properly. Doesn't he? He's cool.
Oh, you're getting hate now.
Yeah, honestly, Yanks don't get football. I've tried. Aaron Blanco does, but he doesn't support a team, which is a bit lame. So yeah, Ethiopia. Some great coffees last year, stunning, really got somewhere to build from, and I was worried because Ethiopia nearly crippled themselves with the IP stuff that they did last year. Intellectual property rights that were by light years IP was something I really didn't like. Trying to intellectually property own an area just doesn't make sense to me when as an industry we're moving much more towards estate coffees, individuals, kind of really tying down the provenance of them. By intellectually kind of reserving Sadamo and Yurgachev, I really didn't like it. And then the way that everybody turned and attacked Starbucks for saying, actually, I don't think this is right. I don't think I agreed it was right. I mean, did you remember reading the stuff, Colin, on the intellectual property stuff when it was going on about 6-12 months ago, and Starbucks got slated?
You realise I do one thing at a time, don't you?
Oh, sorry, yeah. You know, I think it's dead easy to beat up Starbucks, but that's a different talk for a different time. And, you know, and now the intellectual property thing, we kind of reluctantly said, OK, we'll sign up to it, filled in 16, 17 pages, and I'm still waiting to hear. I emailed them about 3-4 months ago, still waiting to hear. So they've moved on to the next self-destruct moment of having the coffee exchange, which is a government-run way of controlling the price of coffee, which is great for commodity coffee, but we're not dealing in commodity coffee. You know, we're dealing in very unique specialty, lots that deserve a special attention for the way that they need to be handled, the way they need to be looked at, and make sure people are rewarded in an appropriate way. Are you bringing 2 at a time?
Yeah, well, the table pouring, that's where it's at, isn't it? This is my first experience with a Seneso. But,
and you think?
I think I need more practice. But yeah, the shots could be a little tighter. But yeah, it's great. I think it's the same on the Aurelia, but I think that actually, what do you call them? Insulated steam ones are actually more dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it looks pretty, but there's absolutely no texture in this.
Does look pretty.
It doesn't even look that pretty, actually. No foam. It's got no foam.
He's getting down marks for that.
I'm just afraid. No, it's one thing. The last time I came over, I was steaming this milk.
Cravendale.
And
shout out to Cravendale because I'm a big fan of the Cravendale milk.
It was like it just goes boom, and it foams up. So I'm just being really careful. I'm being too careful here, but
no, you get the idea. It's the only milk that I'll use for milk-based drinks, and not just because they're a UK BC sponsor.
Oh my god, this is awful.
I don't know, it still looks okay. That looks better texture too. I should have that one now. But yeah, I kind of worry about Ethiopia, and I worry about the way that they're trying to self-destruct, it seems. I mean, there are people who've had far better and far more knowledge of the whole exchange than me that have written in that thread that I put up a few moments ago. And I would encourage you to go and read it because I think it's incredibly interesting stuff.
It seems to me I explained the basic outline of it to my dad, who was very bored, kind of like, what's that about? And I told him, he went, oh. But even he kind of went, that doesn't make any sense. And
explain it how you explain it to your dad, because that might be a good way to.
So they don't want. You can buy small farm coffee, like, you know, you can go your reaches and then you get your micro lots, and you can like be very specific, and you can say that I want this one and this one and this one, and then the farmer learns more about what different growing conditions, how that affects the cup, and how where people put value and say, oh, well, it's grown in this way and people pay more for this one and maybe I should do, and like you're learning and it's better and it become more region specific. And then if you, I don't know, but then if you just mash it all in together, you don't learn anything because you don't know why it's been good, because everything's been done completely differently.
And it rarely is good, you know, because when you mix everything in, then it becomes homogenous, kind of average. A great post, going off topic a little bit, but Tom Owen did put a video up. Tom Owen from Sweet Maria's.
I'll do it.
Honestly, I love Tom. Tom is the complete reason why I got into coffee and still remains an inspiration, even though when he sees me, he does have a court injunction against me. I'm not allowed to go within 100 metres of Tom Owen.
10 seconds out, what do you think? Besides being too thin on the milk, but...
I kind of getting it cut through, and it's far better than the espressos we had earlier of it, and it just lends itself to what I expected. It's there, it's in the background, it's lovely, it's kind of got a caramel chewiness to
caramel
it.
toppy,
Yeah. Not as funky as I expected it to be, which I'm kind of happy with. I don't always want funky.
Maybe we could go for a bigger basket on it, probably a little thing.
Yeah.
That's it. It'll come in time. But So going back to
Tom Owen's video because whoa. Basically, Tom's video was a group of people in Panama standing around talking about sending messages to farmers, and it was about competition. Have you seen this video?
No.
Linking up. I'm just going to be editing forever. But yeah, Tom was talking about when you score a coffee high, and it's not necessarily the varietal to be grown in that altitude or that region. Is that the wrong message to send to a farmer? Because what's happening in Panama, they're ripping out all of their plants and they're all planting geisha, you know, which is what the Esmeralda won. And not everybody has the elevation for geisha.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that when people become tired of some generic sort of thing, they'll go, oh, there's something different coming in, and then everybody go and try that, and then it becomes better because it's not the same as everything else.
And my last trip to El Salvador, Nicaragua, just dropping that one in. Poof, you can name drop, I'll trip drop. Every farm I went on to...
Trip drop.
Yeah. Trip drop drop.
You heard it here first, folks.
Every farm that we went to in Nicaragua, we've got some geisha. It's growing. And I'm just like, I'm not interested.
You can keep your geisha.
And El Salvador was the one that scared me the most, because they were saying, oh, we're all planting pacamara and we're planting geisha. And I'm like, you've got Bourbon.
Though,
El Salvador have got some of the best plant stock in the world, and I'm worried that what we see is the messages that the market sends with trends actually has a long-term effect. Because coffee takes 4 years from planting to actually bearing enough crop to be profitable. And if we send a message that, you know, and this is also true of the Ethiopian, bringing it back on topic. If we all say, oh, we love Misty Valley, we think that's fantastic, and everybody does exactly what they do, same varietal, same processes, then we turn into McDonald's of the coffee industry.
Buy something that didn't make Cup of Excellence.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love this coffee, this 10-bag lot. It's small, it's tiny, it's got some unique characteristics to it. It's interesting. One we've got coming is the El Bosque, the El Bosque Bourbon from Guatemala.
Somebody used that before, didn't they?
Yeah, some Morrissey bloke. I think he did quite well with it.
All right.
But we've agreed with Francisco to have all the Bourbon from the farm this year, and because we're taking all of it, we can ask him to do something funky. So we're splitting the red and the yellow Bourbon up. It may be that it tastes no different, but let's try it. Let's embrace it, and let's embrace the differences in coffee. Not everything has to be homogenous. Kind of. I'm tired of seeing washed, bright, acidic coffees, and I love those. You know, we've just had a Kenya, which is all of those things. But I love trying something like that afterwards, because it's just embracing the differences in coffee.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
You came up with a great analogy earlier with wine. What was that one with Prosecco?
No, the wine analogy isn't mine. That's actually been used before, the wine
analogy.
No,
not that specific, but you were talking about a specific wine that was very sweet.
Oh, the Ripasso.
Ripasso, that was
so the Ripasso, my extensive wine knowledge it's
I'll help you with that tonight.
It's not actually, that's wrong. The Ripasso is the one that's passed through it, so it's repassed. So the original one, the name of which is popping on the screen now.
Thanks.
Because I've retrospectively remembered it. But that's when they leave the grapes out and they dry them, and you get this wine that's really kind of unctuous and kind of syrupy, and it's like, and I think
like the dessert wine or the German Riesling. Rieslings tend to be fairly like. No, it's not Rieslings, but
yeah, let's not get into that. I think someone's gonna.
Okay, yeah. No, there's far better wine.
I don't think about wine.
I like wine, man.
Well,
I'm allowed to like it.
Right, but no.
And I'm allowed to like the analogy as well.
Yeah, beer.
I'm on my own because every time I mention the wine analogy, people say I'm sad,
Yeah,
but-
there's a big like. Are you allowed to use it? And it's like well, a couple of wine, but like I think we.
I also use the beer analogy as well, though.
The egg analogy. You ever use an egg
An egg,
analogy?
yeah.
We get a lot of people that struggle with the idea that a French press can be nice. You know, in Dublin, everybody has a reputation. That's because people have tried it and it's been absolute
Well, if
cash.
it's done badly, it's like
Yeah.
bad espresso. It's
And
no-
I think it's
no
like a, and I'm trying to explain to them. People
and
laugh
I,
at
and
you,
I do think that although espresso magnifies the product, I do think a bad press is worse than a bad espresso.
Yeah. But like the way we always explain to people is that it's kind of like it's just like you can have an egg, you can poach an egg, fry an egg, boil an egg, you know, and it's never the same. Different textures, different flavors, different, but it's essentially the same product, just prepared different ways. So expect different things. No way is better.
The other one I like is the chocolate one. Chocolate's very similar. There's lots of different chocolates out there. Teas, you know, there are so many analogies.
Yeah.
but I actually really like the wine one.
It'd be
I think-
cool-
What I think the wine one has done, it's done really well at educating
Yeah,
consumers.
but like I think people they give out a bit are getting too stuck in like it's an analogy. It's not fact. You know,
It's
just because
not-
we're saying it's like wine, I mean it is wine. You know.
Yeah, I don't want to copy it, and I
Yeah.
don't want to say, oh, that's it. But I just think
The model. I don't like the model.
no,
Like the
there
wine
isn't a model. There isn't a model. But I really like focusing on the varietals and that
It makes
post.
it interesting. Like there's a story. You know, you can learn things and you can annoy your friends because you know more about it than they do.
Yeah, and it goes back to that post on TMC. Hugo, I really love you, honestly. And I kind of was trying to get my point across, but varietals. I want consumers to know about varietals. I want them to go into the coffee shop and ask for a Bourbon, just as somebody asks for a Chardonnay. Is that wrong to kind of want to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think it's. I think one of the coffees that you did recently was the Indian Balmati, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One was.
One was naturally
Naturally.
processed, one was washed.
So-
Same varietal, just
I
different
think
processes.
It'd be cool to be able to buy coffees that are side by side. So one is one variety, and the other is the other
Well,
variety.
we did the Camusin pack last year where we had 5 varietals from one farm.
That's interesting.
You know,
So then you
and
get,
that was interesting because they were from the Jacu right through to the Ikatu. You couldn't get a different cup. And for me, the one that shone from them all was the Bourbon.
yeah,
And I think that's probably because I am a big Bourbon fan. But
Le Bourbon.
Yeah.
You know what I don't really know anything about, and I'd love to know about is you know all the coffees that have the numbers and letters as their names. First of all, why?
SL28.
Why? Why
SL
can't they just give them names?
SL stands for the coffee fact coming up here,
Oh,
kids. And this was unrehearsed as well. SL stands for Scottish Labs. Basically, in the 60s and 70s, colonial countries like Kenya, the Scottish Labs did a lot of work in varietals, and that's what they called them. Coffee fact.
Beautiful name, isn't it?
Scottish Labs. Because I was really interested. It's like, what is that?
Why
And-
can't, okay,
for
what,
instance,
okay.
yes, the-
SL28. Do you sell SL28?
Yeah.
Have you got? Okay.
We've
do
just
you,
had some.
Okay.
Gethin Buini.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So, give it a name. For your SL28.
What's wrong with SL28?
It's
It's what it is.
SL28. It sounds like a Mercedes.
Which is what it is.
I don't know.
Did people go around saying, "Oh, we can't call it Chardonnay, we can't call it Pinot Noir"?
No, but like,
Okay, it may
That's
be a
'cause
bit
they were called-
sexier because it's French, but it is what it is.
yeah.
Let's not dumb down. It is what it is.
But it's SL28. It sounds like a robot or something. I don't know. I'm gonna call it Jim. From now on, SL28 is called Jim. I'm drinking Jim. Right.
That sounds wrong on so many levels.
Anyway, moving swiftly onwards.
Definitely.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
but then the other thing about Ethiopia, I know we've been going on and on and on about it, is that Africa has a way of. Do you think that the powers that be are just trying to put their flex their muscles and take control of the situation so that they can make money out of it?
I think that, I mean, there's a number of things with Africa, and I knew very little about Africa up until August last year, and I know a tiny bit more now from my trip to Rwanda. Another trip drop.
Which is in Africa.
It is in Africa, but there's an awful lot of corruption. I think that, you know, we kind of know that anyway. I think there's a lot of people that are working against it. I think there's a bigger picture, and what you got to remember is the specialty market is so tiny that it's a speck, really.
Yeah.
And I think what Ethiopia's trying to do in the wrong way is they're trying to help the commodity grade coffees
Okay.
up. And I don't think there's malice, but I think what there is there's a lack of it's about raising standards. You know, you raise the top tier and the bottom tier comes up with it.
Yeah, and that's because there are things that we did. Well, I didn't do it, but you did 5 years ago. That probably everybody's doing now. Like my flight on the way over here, I was reading the magazines that they give you on the plane, and the Nespresso machines. You know, with the N, Nescafe, whatever.
Yeah.
They now have a single origin espresso capsule. Now, just think about that for a second. A single. Now, I know Mark Prince is still struggling with that. But,
oh dear.
Sorry, Mark.
We love you, Mark.
But that just speaks volumes. Now, I know that everybody goes, "Oh, we're such a small sector of the," but it's like that's where it's going now. So why? I'm not saying it's going to be good, but in 2 years' time, will Nespresso have a reach at 17?
I think
you see where it's going. You know, like so you have to be kind of pushing things and.
We were talking about this a little bit earlier, and then the coffee industry from when I joined, kind of 7-8 years ago, is such a different place to where it's
like the wine industry.
Certainly, and this is kind of, sorry, Colin, you're not involved in this. We're focusing on the UK. When I first joined the industry, there were very few places where I would say you could get what I wanted, which was a good coffee with some provenance, with some history, but primarily good on the table. You've got Monmouth.
Yeah, good guys.
That was it. You know, Peter James was kind of he started around about the same time as we started. So Peter's another guy who big shout out.
I've actually never tried his coffee. I really wanted it.
You should do. It's great stuff. You know, Peter's a really good guy and buys some great coffees. But now you've kind of got Square Mile who've come onto the scene and everybody kind of have you heard of them? No. But they're doing great things and. All of a sudden, the industry, certainly you go to London and there's some coffee shops that have got some stunning coffee.
But isn't it, the thing I really like is that people seem to be leaving each other's coffee, well, to the most part, seem to be leaving each other's coffee alone. So that, like, there are certain people who are doing certain coffees and then other people say, oh, they're doing that, I'll do this one. And it's
well, again, we were talking about earlier, and keep going back to comments because we've done nothing but talk since we've got back, but the Tanzanian...
Well, listen.
Yeah, yeah, sorry about that. The Tanzanian that Square Mile are doing at the Blackburn estate.
Yeah, can I just, I've been twitching all week about that. Great coffee.
Fantastic
dumbing it down.
coffee.
It's wine gums and it's dipped in sherbet. It's lovely.
Fantastic coffee, but I talked to James and said, like, are you stocking this coffee? And they told me yes, so we stayed away because there's so many other options out there for us, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's more interesting because I kind of like, come on, you're doing one, they're doing one. Like, oh, a bit of this, a bit of that, you know. That's brilliant.
Well, hopefully, what it does is we sell 2 bags instead of 1 between us, you know, because we get something that's interesting, and I think that's the great thing that on the whole the market does regulate itself. You know, we've kind of not an agreement because that's like a cartel, but you know, it's just kind of
it is like a cartel. You're right.
It is. But I want to do things that I can get behind, like the Machicamarca. You know, is a primary example. I can get behind that because we buy everything from the farm.
That coffee didn't do so well.
No. You followed it. Definitely followed it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, it was. But this is the thing. Okay, so the geisha's doing well. Everybody plants geisha, but then, like, if you focus further down the line, you're going to find some really great coffees, you know. And
because of their diversity, again, it goes back to what we were saying.
Like where did they finish?
Huh?
Where did in Cup of Excellence? The
24th out of 24.
And
in 2007. And for me, my scores on my cupping sheets, it was the winner for both times I cupped it. And like out of the park, this is great. But then it shows in the auction prices because when it went to auction, it was the 11th most expensive.
Oh, really?
Or 13th, 11th, or 13th. But it was much higher than where it finished because
not first though.
Because there was a Japanese guy who also wanted it. You know, so we were bid, and it just went. It was a good price, great price for great coffee. Yeah. But
it is a good price. Sorry, giving Steve a free plug there, but
yeah, God bless you. It's a good price. But it's a great coffee, and we can get behind that now. You know, last year the El Salvadors that Square Mile had were fantastic. The Ada Battle ones, Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro, that was a great coffee.
Out the park, good. You know.
What was the other one they had?
Oh, it's another one of Aida's farms, wasn't it?
Santa Rita, no.
Yeah, I think it was Santa Rita, yeah. And you know, and that's great that we kind of got these ones that because I tried that and they tried ours, and you know, and that's cool. And the same with Peter. Peter did some great things at Peter James last year with Ethiopia. So I got some interesting.
Also in Africa.
Also in Africa.
been researching.
But going back to the African market, just very quickly, because I want to tie up on the exchange thing. Africa is a difficult place to do business because it's so fragmented as a business.
What do you
there
say
are some very powerful people,
yeah,
and the governments don't help.
and like even just briefly the Rwandan that you got in, the one that you saw.
The Morambi.
Go on, tell people about what the nightmare that you had.
Basically, the Cup of Excellence this year, we cupped this one coffee that didn't make it, just missed the cup for the Cup of Excellence. But again, for me,
This is a great coffee.
On my coffee cupping table, out the park good. So we go up and say we'd like to buy this, we'd like to pay $2.62 a pound, which is exactly twice the fair trade price. We felt that was a really fair price for a really fine coffee. They were extremely happy with it. Great deal done. Gets home, emails going out to Rwanda. So what's happening with this coffee? Are we shipping it? The container leaves in December. Need to have it ready. No contact. No contact. Phone calls. No contact. No contact. So it gets to December. Oh well, forget it. Coffee's gone. Move on. Middle of January, gets an email. Coffee's ready, Steve. When do you want it? I'm just like, what about my emails before? Oh yeah. Oh well, it's here. So well, how do I move it? My container's left. That I've borrowed some space from our importers to move it. Container's left. Oh well, if you don't buy it, then the farmer doesn't get paid. Or the cooperative doesn't get paid. It's nothing like sending you on an old guilt trip to decide. Okay, well we'll move it. We ended up paying twice as much again to air freight it, but to get it on the air freight, just so many hurdles.
Had a bit of a detour in Germany.
Ended up in Brussels.
In Brussels.
Ended up in Brussels.
Not in Germany.
Not in Germany. In Europe. It is in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's look that one up.
But sat in the airport in the rain and basically found out that I had a phone call from the guy who was going to move it from the port saying 17 pallets, and I'm like, no, 17 bags. He said, oh well, there's 17 shipments here, and what they'd done, they'd just thrown the bags in the back of an aeroplane with a sticker on it saying sent to has been, and it turned, and honestly it was just a nightmare from start to finish. We ran the chance of this coffee that had cost us thousands of pounds. I mean, with the air freight, it was thousands and thousands of pounds. It could have been useless, awful.
Yeah.
Luck, and somebody was looking down on me meant that it got to us okay. But these are the problems of Rwanda, that they're not used to kind of. Now, if I spoke to somebody in El Salvador and said, right, I want this doing and I want it this way, done.
Yeah. So that's the challenge, I suppose.
And for Africa to help, I think Africa needs to help itself, so the specialty industry can almost help it. And again, this may be my naivety because I'm not massively experienced in importing, but certainly that's my perspective from dabbling in it.
Yeah. But it was good coffee.
Great coffees, and let's be honest, most of these coffees are. And then, I mean, I don't want to kind of bang on, but the Africa thing, Rwanda run the first Cup of Excellence. To get to a Cup of Excellence competition takes a lot of organisation from the specialty committee of the country, and the Cup of Excellence itself. So much money was spent on air freight, getting judges out there to make sure, head judges out there, to make sure that everything was done properly. Very successful auction. I mean, incredibly successful. Lots of money earned by them, and they cancel it this year because they want to do something else. And it's just like, where's the long term? Let's plan for the long term with this. But it was almost like, oh well, we've done that. Let's move on. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
It is very.
And
sad.
I really hope Rwanda come back on board.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. It's going to be successful in other countries, and hopefully they'll catch on. But there has to be some sort of incentive.
And I think Rwanda was probably the hardest place to do it because there's something like 600,000 people involved in coffee in Rwanda of a population of like 1.2 million.
Yeah, they've had a tricky history as well. So I mean, to completely dumb it down, they've had a tricky history. It would be great to see.
But such a great country as well. I mean, I loved it while I was there.
Yeah.
I've never met people that could be so forgiving of each other, so friendly, so open, so wanting to please. They really did. And with this coffee that was coming across, every email was
There's a lot of great Rwandans out there, and it's I'm seeing a lot more of them, and kind of, I don't know, I think I'm really excited about.
And it was great to see the work that people like Union Hand Roasted, another plug for another UK company.
Mike Phillips was a Rwandan, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Yeah. That was funky as well.
That was beautiful.
That was amazing. He gave me what they called the presses, the drip things he was using, the
drip things.
Yeah. It was basically brewed
Oh,
coffee.
Eva Solo.
Eva Solo, there we go. I've got one of those.
Did you ever look? I've never used it. I've never used them, so I know little.
We'll take one home tonight. You can play.
Oh, have you
I've got one here. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
It makes me want to grind coffee into a wine bottle and put hot water in it and shake it about and see what
how
happens.
random are we though? We're just dotting around everywhere. But
Yeah.
Rwanda has great potential, and I hope they come back on board with the Cup of Excellence, and I hope other countries come back on board with the Cup of Excellence, which leads us on to Cup of Excellence again.
Cup of Excellence.
Yes. Listen, little disclaimer here. Yeah, I'm on the board of directors for the Cup of Excellence. I'm incredibly passionate about the competition. It's something I've given a lot of my own personal time, my personal money travelling to meetings and all of those things. So I will get a little bit gooey and a little bit girly.
He tends to do that.
About Cup of Excellence. But this week, 10th anniversary basically this year of Cup of Excellence, which is no mean feat for the organisation to go into all these producing countries, but also the 50th competition this week in Nicaragua.
50th, nice.
50th competition. Nice. Props to Susie Spindler, the Executive Director of Cup of Excellence, who without there would be no Cup of Excellence. She is just awesome. She runs everything.
Cup of Excellence. We spoke a little bit about this before. You go on. 10 sentences. Give us
Oh, geez, I could go on forever with Cup of Excellence.
Okay, no.
Cup of Excellence.
No. But I mean the actual process.
No. Well, first of all, Cup of Excellence is, and this is Susie's description. I don't necessarily like it, but she uses it all the time. It's the Olympics of coffee.
The Olympics.
Yeah. So it's the country's Olympics of coffee.
The Olympics. Well, you see,
to find the very best.
Countries don't have national.
No,
Olympics.
I know they don't. But it's an analogy. It's like the wine.
So it's like wine. The Cup of Excellence is like wine.
Cup of Excellence is, first of all, completely independent. Nobody knows what lot is what. And we talk about corruption in these countries, and it happens in South and Central America just as much. There is a number. You don't know anything about it. Which coffee's which?
The judges talk.
We talk at the end. You don't talk during. So during the assessment, you will cup a table of 10, 12 coffees. Yeah. Cupping scores. You'll write them down in silence. You'll leave the cupping room, and then we will have a discussion.
Are you ever tempted? Because I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut. I'd be like.
There's a couple of times you see people, you know, well, it's normally the other way, where they just get stuck on a cup.
Yeah, we did a cupping in Marco the other week, and we had 20 coffees, and everybody was trying to do the scores and kind of just do. But there was just this one coffee, and every time somebody got to it, they went woo, yowza, and then there's another coffee at the far side, and everybody's just like. Those coffees I will not tell you. If you email me, I'll tell you what coffees I'm talking about. So that's, for me, I would not be able to contain it.
You do, because the thing is, when you enter a competition, you suddenly realise how important it is. It's not like you're sitting there doing...
Because it is really important, isn't it? Because you can see the price. If you look at the price sheet at the end,
it's not just the price sheet at the end.
The price. It's all about the money.
Well, no, because think about Mario with Machakamaka, right? If he hadn't have won the Cup of Excellence last year, I wouldn't have had access to buy his coffee, which I wouldn't have then bought his coffee this year and bought everything from the farm.
Yeah.
So it's speed dating for coffee farmers, and this is my analogy, speed dating for coffee farmers and coffee buyers, which I think is important.
Yeah.
It's a relationship builder.
Yeah, but you're still allowed to see other coffees.
Oh yeah, no, you are. No, for sure. You're not. It's not married.
It's okay
you're married.
It's okay to love that coffee, but then you can go to a different country and love another coffee the next week.
Exactly. You can have if you've not got a wife in every country. I'm sorry, that's just what happens when you travel around a bit, isn't it?
I have a girlfriend in Thailand. Hi, Yvonne.
Hello, Yvonne.
I wish I was in Thailand.
But a Cup of Excellence, it's more than just the prize, and that's what some people don't get with the competition, because people talk about it being fancy with very small boutique lots that are very specialised to specific people in the industry, and people want bigger lots. But really, it's a way of rewarding somebody for producing a great coffee.
Everybody's learning them, aren't they?
And without Cup of Excellence, the coffee industry would be still back in the dark ages.
I find it now, because it's
massive.
I'm talking ordinary Joe blog off the street comes in and says, "Oh, is your coffee fair trade?" And I go, "Oh well, this coffee mightn't be fair trade, but it's Cup of Excellence." And they go, "What's Cup of Excellence?" And I say, "Well, fair trade is kind of a good starting point, but then it's not always the best thing." And then instantly, Okay, and I'm talking about this normal guy. Instantly, all he thinks is, this guy wants people to starve. And it's because if you're anti-fair trade, or if you say anything bad about fair trade, it means you want people to. And it's kind of like.
And let's be honest.
So I'm not talking about industry. I'm just talking about when you're talking to a normal guy in the street. How do you explain to him how the benefits of Cup of Excellence will translate to the farmer and to the guy who owns a little farm and. How does that?
Great one. Fair trade basically keeps people on a very minimum wage, on the bare minimum to be just out of poverty.
So I turn up with a bad bag, and you turn up with a good bag that you worked your absolute arse off, and then we both get the same price, essentially.
Exactly, that's fair trade. But what fair trade does, it maintains a bare minimum. This is the bare minimum we should be paying, and for the commodity market, it has its place. I've been known as a fair trade basher in the past, but I think it has its place in the commodity market. But in the specialty market, it's about. I always say to people, it's like fair trade, right? But it's rewarding. It's rewarding for working a little bit harder. So every coffee that we sell is above fair trade price, without a doubt. Apart from the Robusta that we bring in, which is fairly close to fair trade price, even though it's Robusta.
Yeah.
So it's about just saying this is about rewarding people for doing a good job, and it's like not just keeping them in poverty, but helping them help themselves. And I keep going back to that, but I'm not a charity.
Yeah.
I'm not there just willy-nilly go, here's some more money.
I think it's really important that people need to, because coffee comes in general from countries that are poor, okay? Mm-hmm. And it is important that it's done in a responsible manner. And I don't think there's anybody out there who thinks differently. Yeah. And if they are, then Dave, you should really reconsider that opinion, because it's not right. And but is there another industry where you're expected to help people as much? The coffee. Every time I tell people that I work at coffee, they instantly want to know about the poor little farmer and his donkey and stuff. And it's like, well, if you're in another industry, you're not expected to do this kind of thing. And it's coffee's own fault, because the coffee industry has developed this reputation through posters outside shops of guys holding boxes and looking really poor. And do we without disagreeing with the fact that we should help people? Is there another industry that has that onus on it to be almost like a charity?
I think that's my biggest disappointment with fair trade, is that they do great work, and I hate to kind of attack it, but they say it's the only way. You read the fair trade advert, the only way you can know that a farmer got paid a good price is the fair trade mark, and that's just not true. It's not true.
And the other guy's Rainforest Alliance? I don't even know what that's about.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've had some Rainforest Alliance coffees in the past, but I won't sell them under the brand.
That's terrible. Okay, next week I'll give you 2 minutes on Rainforest Alliance, because I should really figure out what it's about. I'm not saying it's bad, I just don't know anything about it.
No.
I know there's a frog.
I kind of worry when people like McDonald's are jumping on board with it. That's my big concern with it, and I don't understand.
I mean, let them do what they want,
Yeah. I mean, if it means that they're paying a little bit more, then that's great, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's the same with fair trade. If somebody's paying a little bit more than they were before, great.
Yeah. Good idea.
So, which leads us kind of nice and swiftly on to something I saw on the internet recently. Vermax, the Colombian exporters, follow on Twitter, and they
Twitter is a. Can I just?
Oh, okay.
I'm on Twitter. Twitter is You do have some paper. Here, get that. I'm having a bit of a talk here. Twitter, for me, for those of you who don't know, it's like the status thing on Facebook, but that's all there is. You just update your status all the time. But as a social networking tool, it's really sad. Don't use it. But it is. Stop. We disagree with this. But coffee, I think it's great, because I follow coffee people, and then they tell me what they're doing, what they're drinking, what they're buying, different brewing methods, news, all this kind of stuff. And then essentially what you have every day is your coffee newspaper. And I think that's brilliant, and it's really cool.
You say that, right? But I now know that Jason Bradbury off the Gadget Show, his PC's giving up the ghost. How interesting is that? Okay, that's not great. I'm not doing myself any favours here. But I think Twitter as a tool for talking to people. And listen, I'm a little bit different, because a lot of my customers follow me on Twitter, and it's a great way of talking to them just about stuff that happens in the roastery.
So, Jess is after driving by Stafford. She's waving to us.
Oh,
Jess, she probably waved to us at the same time we waved to her. That's mad.
Oh, man.
Okay, and so then we'll be following Coffee Geek, Mark Prince.
Mark's cool on there.
I mean, Klaus Thompson, although Klaus Thompson isn't following me.
Oh.
What have I done?
I don't know whether he's following me.
Why doesn't he like me?
Klaus is cool.
I don't know.
Klaus is a nice guy.
He won't follow me, I don't know.
I know, he's even nicer now. I like him a bit more.
Yeah. But yeah, and
But
great
you
'cause
say it's a social tool. I actually think it's really cool that I can communicate with my customers,
Yeah.
just like very briefly, just without blogging, without it being intense. Just saying,
Is it the death of the blog?
well, it kind of killed mine for a little
Yeah,
while.
it kind of killed mine as well.
Yeah.
Although I was very busy, but still,
Yeah,
kind of killed it.
But I don't know, revived mine because I found a new passion for it again. But
Yeah. But it's really cool.
I love the
the.
coffee community.
I'm going to tell you who I am.
Follow me.
I'm at Dublin Barista.
I don't need you to follow me. I've got
Yeah.
too many followers.
Oh, but you know the thing I love is that whenever somebody from Intelligentsia says something to me on Twitter, I instantly get 5 new followers. They're like, "Oh, Intelligentsia is talking to
Intelligentsia
you."
don't say anything to me. They
Do
don't
they
talk
not?
to me. No.
James Thomas does, and
Yeah.
Deaton Pickett does.
Deaton hasn't talked to me for ages. And I
Yeah.
love Deaton.
I think
That
it's-
was my one big regret from Atlanta is I didn't get to see Deaton.
He used to work in Dublin. He used to work
I know
for
he did.
Peely's, and
He used to work with Stephen.
yeah.
I met Deaton. I used to talk to Deaton loads more before he went to Intelligentsia.
I
and
missed
started
them all.
blanking me.
By the time I got interested in coffee, they'd all left. I was like, guys.
Deaton's the dude. He's just top man.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, I was on. I was watching the USBC, and I was on the thing on the feed, and
How much fun was that?
it was a lot of fun. And they, I was like, oh yeah, they're saying hi and all. He just thought I was some weirdo, but yeah, now he talks to me now. Now he knows I'm some weirdo.
You've changed.
But the USBC actually, that was cool. The commentary, I love the commentary. I thought it was
I actually
so
missed it
cool.
when they didn't.
Yeah,
and do you know what it?
didn't do it.
Do you know what it
It was
did
really
for
cool.
me as well? Kind of really made me sad about portafilter. I used to love portafilter.net, which is a podcast
Yeah.
that used to be kind of very industry based with Nick Cho and Jay Carragay, who are the coolest people honestly. I mean, both of them were so nice when I kind of met, and we very briefly kind of met each other, but they made such a, and particularly Jay was tops, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember me? You won't remember because we were walking down the corridor.
I do remember, and Jay came
you
up and he
were
was
with
with his
the
friend,
days,
and
yeah.
he was away. And
Yeah, really,
he's
really
a nice
top
guy.
man.
Yeah.
And Nick's great as well, even though he wouldn't let me in the blogging booth.
Yeah, that was the one thing about if you didn't have a US address on your credit card, you couldn't get internet access in Atlanta. So maybe a lesson London could learn that everybody use the internet, and because then I think I see
'Cause I would have
there was
blogged
some
about it, I
blog,
would
I
have
can't
tweeted
remember who it
about
was. Was it Nick Griffith's blog or something? And he was saying that it wasn't as good blog wise as the USBC, which is probably true. But I wanted to do Twitter and blogs and all this like live from there, but I couldn't get on because I didn't have a US.
I wanted to
credit
get in the chat room and just say hi to people.
yeah, I think if the more interactive it is, the better it is. So I think that could be really cool.
Yeah.
Who do you follow? Who do you follow on Twitter?
We know this one because we talked about this one.
I don't want to tell anyone.
No, I don't really want to tell anybody because it might spoil it and we may not kind of keep him to ourselves.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this in the car on the way up yesterday, and it's at Ross X Brown. He's the coolest Twitter in the world.
Yeah.
You kind of,
How many followers is this Ross got?
I don't know. I'll be standing. At
Ross was in Atlanta and he came up and
and I didn't know who Ross was until
cool.
Emily.
15. It's actually gone down. He was 17.
No, he's following 15.
Oh, he's
got
20.
followers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Ross is just like, he just says what's on his mind,
Yeah.
which is so refreshing. I was standing at the roaster one day and he said something about stroking kittens or something, or stroking dogs, and I just spat coffee everywhere because he's just so funny.
Yeah, so follow
And
Ross.
Ross is a top man, and you really must follow him. He's
You do get
good value.
some of those really funny. Another one I saw one day was somebody. It was a barista jargon. So somebody that I'm going to get this wrong now, aren't I? Somebody that messes with your grind when you have it spot on is henceforth known as a scrotum.
Yeah. And we don't like the term spro, do we?
No. But anyway.
Spro is bad, but we like scrotums.
Yeah,
So
that was a good one. But it's like that bar. We were actually talking about this before. It's like that bar etiquette. It's like when I'm working with Simon. If he, okay, so we got you know you're brewing your shots, you know, and if he turns off my shot,
no, not good.
no, even
You
okay,
could have done with him.
even if the shot is overflowing in the cup and it's going everywhere, he's not allowed to touch it because I am in charge of this, you know, and it's kind of like this thing, especially when you're working with somebody in the bar. If that's their way of saying you're doing that wrong, and even if you are doing it wrong, it's your own. You acknowledge it; they don't acknowledge it. You know, you got to learn your own lessons. And if they knock your shot off, you're not learning anything, and you're kind of like, and it's just So one day we were on the bar and Simon knocked my shot off, and then I just got all uppity, and I was just like, "How dare you!" And there was nothing wrong with it. I was like, there was another 2 seconds in there. You can't do that, and it's this bar etiquette thing. It's just like, you can't knock off my shot. So he was steaming milk, so I knocked his steam wand off.
How did we get to that?
Yeah. You what?
Oh, Sprouted. That's right.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Ross. We love Ross.
Yeah.
Ross is our first tweet of the month.
Yeah. I suppose we do a blog in a month. Like, who do you follow blog wise?
Well, you were telling me about the blog, so it's your blog, isn't it?
Oh yeah, beer.
Yeah, you see, beer. We like beer. We had beer last night, didn't we?
Yeah, ales. Yeah, ales. But yesterday was a big day for me. I'm not your typical Irish stereotype. Can't really drink that much. But oh yeah. So if you've ever come across, especially in Atlanta, if you came across a very drunken, insulting me, that wasn't me. That was actually my brother. He was going around passing himself off as me and getting his photograph taken with people.
It was actually me and David that went around passing him off with you, to be fair.
Some guy came up to me in the bar, was just like, he goes, "So I bought you a drink earlier," and I was like, "I haven't been drinking tonight," and he was like, he goes, "Yeah, but your brother is," and just walked off. And I was like, yeah, but actually disappointed lots of people because they're like, "You're not drinking? You're Irish." And I'm like, yes.
Don't worry, me and David had that one covered.
Yeah, but yeah, that was really funny. So what was I talking about?
Beers.
Yeah. So beers. I went to the Porterhouse in Dublin and had some really great beers. One that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, don't ask me to link this one up as
Spoon, something like that. I don't know. Incredible. But yeah, I'd love to learn about beers and ales and stuff. But this blog that I was watching, it's a video cast and it's called 2 Guys on Beer. We can have the link there. Ping!
Magic.
That is it's really good. It's really interesting. And one beer that I had the other day was Old Engine Oil, which is beautiful. That's on there. They've got a review of it. Read it.
This is it's a new one for me, and I haven't seen it until you mentioned it earlier, so I'm going to follow it.
You generally just pass off my opinions as yours, though, don't you?
No. If you say something, then I say the opposite, because it normally means I've got it covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So,
that's a good
look at that.
Coffee blogs, you know, kind of coffee blogs. You're following any coffee blogs?
I like lots, but I wish Tim Stiles did more on Tropical Salon. I like the Tim and Timmer, but but I really wish Tim did more on Tropical Salon, because that I think Tim's got loads of great things to talk about, and he just needs to find time. I'm really impressed with Deaton at the minute. Again, I don't want to keep kind of giving the love to Intelli because it's sickening. Yeah. But Deaton's really picked up recently, talking about roast profiles and things, which I
think you have
found
to
a bit
preface
exciting
everything
because I'm a bit geeky.
Yeah, and I think you have to preface everything with the fact that Gym 7 is a brilliant blog. Yeah. And it's like, that's really good as well. So you kind of forget that his blog is
although he forgets about it sometimes. He did forget about it for a long time, Jim.
Yeah.
Bad Jim. Yeah. Bad Jim.
But and then Dave's blog, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you haven't seen the video. Just look at the video.
Yeah, this is the video.
What were you thinking?
It's class.
Yeah.
No, it is class.
I think blogs are probably something that I should work on a bit more. But copy blogs are cool. I think. Link.
I think the worrying thing about blogs is that there was a time where everybody had a blog, and it kind of diluted it a little bit. Now very few people are blogging.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of gone too far the other way. I'd love to see some interesting blogs again, and we'll try and talk about them on this when we do them. Should we talk about the differentials, or should we leave that for another time? Or go on. We started it, so let's talk about it. And basically, this was an interesting one sent to me by Vermax, and I'm just going to pop it up on the screen now. Something that people don't realise is kind of commodity prices aren't necessarily the prices that are paid in those countries. So just taking that down, I might put it back up again in a minute, but basically the commodity price is commodity price plus differential. Now in Colombia at the minute, it's on fire. The internal market is crazy. Their prices are running around about $2 a pound for commercial grade Colombian Excelso, which is box standard average Colombian. And we saw from the recent Cup of Excellence auction in Colombia, the prices went sky high. Colombia is somewhere that I think we're going to see less coffee this year. And what's happened with fair trade, you could actually be paying less for a fair trade coffee than you could for a standard commercial grade Excelso. And what tends to happen is that those contracts don't get honoured, and I think that's really interesting.
Why is the crop smaller this year, Steve?
Well, a number of things, weather being the primary, not primarily, primary. What happened was, as the flowers were forming on the trees, there was a lot of rain, knocked a lot of the flowers off, which means that they don't turn into berries and cherries and coffee seeds.
Yeah.
So, just basically 20% down, I think, on last year's crop, which was a fairly smallish crop anyway.
Yeah.
Same's coming in from Guatemala. Guatemala's currently running at 25.5 cents above commercial grade price. Again, more expensive than most fair trade coffees. Markets, I think, I don't look so often, but I think it's about 125 to 129, somewhere in there, in that ballpark. So 129 plus 25 cents. Same for Costa Rica, it's 24 cents. So again, above fair trade prices. Then you've got El Salvador, which is nearly 10 cents. Again, above. Then you've got Honduras, 8.2 above.
Honduras. I want to know more about Honduran coffee.
We had a great one a couple of years ago, but they're just, it's such a difficult country to deal with.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of excellents a couple of years ago that we had to reject when it arrived because the sacks had tainted the beans. They'd used cheap sacks. Expensive coffee, cheap sacks, not a good mix.
Yeah.
So, and then you got Mexico, which, you know, you don't see a lot of Mexican, but even that's at like $4.55. So taking it at $1.25, it's still not far off fair trade price for commodity grade. The interesting one though was the Brazilian Santos, which is very commercial grade stuff, minus 18.
How does that work?
Well, I kind of know why, I think, but this is just kind of me gonna go and learn. Brazil's very mechanicalised, so they've got a lot of mechanical pickers that just go and strip the trees, whip it off, so there's not the same costs. They can also do it on a much grander scale. The land is much cheaper, there's a lot more of it and all those things. So I think it just comes down to its cheaper production values. And also the quality tends to be, of the Santoses, I've had some pretty goddamn awful Santos. I think it's that. But really interesting, that just kind of something that I didn't really know a great deal about, that the differentials existed. And this is not for the specialty stuff. This is, so you think Colombian's $2 a pound entry price, where is, you know, a specialty coffee? Well, that's going to start at $2.50. I don't know, maybe higher. So expect coffee prices to go up.
So,
It's still a very cheap product.
who was it? Some guy said. See, I've heard lots of people saying it, but it's still the foodie bar of the year, isn't it?
Pennies in the cup. Even to have a cup of excellence, you know, #1 winner, it's pennies in the cup.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But interesting.
Interesting. So, on that note, I hope it has been. Oh, it has been interesting.
See, plugs again.
I'm a poet and I'm aware of it. So
We would like feedback, please.
feed us back.
Feed us.
Yeah.
Is it any good? Is it,
Well,
is it
I
something
asked them to
people
come
want?
shout at me at Cafe Culture, but
It may not be up by
I'm
then.
a bit delicate. No, to email me.
It may not be up by then.
Yeah,
Have you seen any links I've got to put in this thing?
Oh yeah, that could take a while. But yeah, no, it'd be really good to get more feedback. And if you want us to do a little project, if you want to see us,
Like, we're going to do Rainforest Alliance, because we don't... I don't know
I'm
why.
giving myself homework. This is terrible. Wait, actually, will we do a vac pot next week? Will we?
Jeez, after my vac pot disaster today.
Yeah.
Let's have a go.
Yeah, we'll show you how not to do a vac pot, and we'll do something. But yeah, we want projects. We want to do something, and we want to have a bit of a laugh. So,
and also, you know, we know we don't know everything about the industry. You know, we're kind of very aware of that, and it would be really good if you could set us things so we could learn more.
yeah, and we have a lot of toys at our disposal, so and a lot of coffee at our disposal. So if there's something that you want to know, or if there's something that you think we should know that we don't, then let us know about it. And don't forget the prize.
Yes. Which mistake did we make, or how many?
Yeah.
But we will choose one from them, because that could get out of control.
The more cursing, the better.
So don't, just because you find the mistake doesn't mean I'm trying to protect myself here from the avalanche.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon.